The EPL show on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is presented by MyBookie.ag. Use the promo code SGP for up to a $1,000 deposit bonus. That's MyBookie.ag, promo code SGP to play, win and get paid. We're also brought to you by the Sports Gambling Podcast Network and ATC Football Tournament. We're teaming up with All Things Comedy to run back the 2019 playoffs via Madden Sims and to give away $10,000 in MyBookie credits. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/ATC for all the info. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/ATC. We're also brought to you by Ace Per Head. Ace is the leader in pay-per-head providers and they make it super easy to start your own sportsbook. Plus, Ace is offering up to 6 weeks free over at aceperhead.com/SGP. That's aceperhead.com/SGP. And finally, we're also brought to you by Cushy Dreams. Cushy Dreams is a brand new company with a full lineup of premium smokable CBD. Now shipping legally to all 50 states. And if you use the promo code SGP, you'll get 15% off. That's Cushy, KUSHYDreams.com and the promo code SGP.
Sterling winds himself up and scores and may well put Manchester City into the semi-finals of the FA Cup. A little check onto his stronger foot and from some way out he found a way past Carl Darlow. Newcastle 0, Manchester City 2.
Started right from the back, fought with the crossfield pass. It's a good one to Foden. He's got the overlapping run. You can see Mendy making the overlapping run. That's why Manquillo can't get tight. He goes inside Joe Linton of all players and then bends it into the corner. Not quite sure what Joe Linton was doing back defending in that area, but what a good finish that is from Sterling.
But it's Sheffield United asking most of the questions here. But now in added time, Arsenal looking to break. Bukayo Saka. Here's Eddie Nketiah. And now Pepe. Sheffield United backpedaling rapidly. Ceballos. Oh, and he scores! Dani Ceballos, the substitute, fires Arsenal ahead. Their lead is restored. It's Eddie Nketiah who played the ball across. The chance looked to have gone initially when Pepe was forced away, and Ceballos, oh, what a lovely finish that is under pressure. Look at the number of Sheffield United defenders in the penalty area, but Ceballos had the coolness to just see the opening and just guide it home. A finish of real quality from the Spanish substitute, Dani Ceballos. And in injury time, Arsenal lead again. And that could be the strike that puts them into the semi-finals.
Yes, that was the goal that saw Arsenal go through to an FA Cup semi-final this weekend with Manchester City. The other semi-final will see Chelsea take on Manchester United. So here's what we're going to do on the EPL show this week. We're going to have two parts. We're going to have a part here where we focus on the FA Cup semi-finals. And at the end, we're going to look at the 3 Premier League games that are going to be taking place this weekend. And then we're going to close out by looking at the 3 EPL games that are happening this weekend and giving you a lock from this slate of 5 games. We're then going to put out a second show on Sunday, which is going to cover the rest of the games from Matchday 37, the 7 remaining games that are happening on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, and we're going to give you an additional lock. The reason why I'm doing that is because I couldn't sit and wait around for Watford and West Ham to conclude on Friday night, because it would be too short a time for you guys to listen to the show and have enough time to get the bets on. So I want to do a proper preview here of the FA Cup, because these are big teams in the FA Cup semi-finals. Not like last year. Proper teams through this year. Man City versus Arsenal, Chelsea v Man United. Want to do an extensive preview. Want to bring on some guests for you, break these games down properly, look at those 3 EPL games, close out this show with a lock, and then on Sunday we'll focus on the remaining 7 games, give you an additional lock. And it's important, I think, to wait and see what happens with the West Ham-Watford game before we cap those games on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, because one of those teams could be safe and it is a pending lock from the last podcast. So we'll analyse Matchday 36 on the second part and we'll look at where the league stands. But as I said, I want to primarily focus on the FA Cup here, and that's what we're going to do now. So we're going to start off the show by bringing on Wes Bellum. He's a friend of mine. He's a Manchester City supporter, the only Manchester City supporter I actually know. How you doing, Wes?
Yeah, I'm good, mate.
First, we'll talk about, we can't ignore it, and we can't not talk about what you managed to get away with this week. You are going to be in the Champions League. I was thinking they would reduce it down to 1 year, and that would be a good result for you, and you'd keep all your players, and you would easily win the Premier League next year, playing just 40 games through the season. But that's not the case. How do you feel about what happened? Do you feel lucky, or do you feel justified?
Well, there was rumours coming through from about Thursday, Friday last week, but I didn't really know how to take them because I thought you don't really know until the results in. But Monday got to about 9:30 and I was bricking it, thinking, you don't really know the result till it comes. But when it come out, I was utter relief because all the stuff I heard in the build-up over the last few months, you do fear it. And there's also a Premier League regulation, one of the articles, that you could face a points deduction.
Yeah.
If you're in breach of the UEFA financial codes. But as for the result, I think it's more of a UEFA balls up more than ours, depending on what evidence they've submitted. Something I've heard this week, a bit of a rumour, is they knew they didn't have a case to begin with. They felt that they was under pressure from other parties.
I feel when it centres around hacking computers, hacking into City's systems, that's when I started to have white flags and think maybe as a Man United fan, we need to finish fourth, because fifth was looking really good for us. And obviously we've had the collapse of Leicester now. But at one point, as soon as it started to come out that it was something had been hacked within the Manchester City systems and whatnot, then that started to really worry me, because then I felt to myself, we need to get into the top four.
Yeah, because you don't. I'm not a legal expert, but I wouldn't have thought that hacking emails would be admissible. And the club argued there was out of context. So whether that means there was a joke between friends or whether there weren't, and they've used that as an excuse. But you can't really use portions of an email to use as evidence against someone.
What do you think of Jose Mourinho? Made some comments that made a lot of sense when he said the whole thing is a joke, and he says, I'm not saying Man City are guilty and I'm not saying they're not guilty, but he's saying if they're not guilty, then refuse to pay the 10 million euros, which was what the fine was reduced to. What do you think of that in terms of if you didn't do anything wrong at all, that they should turn around and say not guilty, no fine at all?
Having heard those comments, I'm just wondering if he's clear on what that was for. That fine was for the charge of non-cooperation.
Right.
So City is saying, why should we cooperate with UEFA when a few days later there's stories of our accounts emerging in the New York Times and the Daily Mail? So if it's a confidentiality issue and they're worried if they're going to talk, all their account information is going to be everywhere, I can understand that. But yeah, it was a different charge to the actual FFP charge. It was not cooperating with the investigators.
Is there any point now in FFP, seeing as like Barcelona have got away with tapping up Griezmann, and we've seen and Paris Saint-Germain have got away with this for a while? I mean, the only side that we ever saw massively penalised by it for anything was Chelsea, where they got 2 transfer window bans, which was reduced down to 1. So, I mean, it just seems completely pointless.
Was the Chelsea one even an FFP? I think that was something to do with
tapping up
the fine of under 50. Or
yeah, well, I mean, overall, as a power, UEFA has come off. UEFA's come off badly in terms of it looks very much like they can't make anything stick against these superpowers. And one of the things that Klopp said, and I have got no love for Klopp, but he turned around and said that we're heading towards these teams becoming so powerful that these 12 teams are just going to break off and have their own league anyway.
I think that could happen in a few years. Anyway, if you're thinking of a Super League. But as a City fan, my own personal view of it is I don't agree with FFP, because I do buy into the thought that it does kind of make a cartel at the top. Like the clubs who are wealthy now, who are competing now, City were lucky in that we had about 3 years before the FFP came in to build our side. But if Newcastle got took over, as has been rumoured for probably about 3 months now, they can't go out and build their team up under FFP.
No.
But if you're thinking of an alternative for just the fairness levels, I'd like to see some kind of salary cap come in. I think that's one solution for it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I saw Carragher saying the same sort of thing, where he just said an Everton or a Newcastle can't grow, and we wouldn't have any more situations where Blackburn won the league doing that, Manchester City won the league doing that, Chelsea won the league doing that. These three teams that entered the equation and managed to go on and win Premier Leagues, that wouldn't happen, and it would just stick around these. I don't even think Arsenal and Tottenham are going to get back into it. I think we're going to have a significant four that will pull away next year.
Yeah, the other two arguments would be under FFP at the minute. You've got a situation in Italy where Juventus have won the league, I think, the last 9 years, and then you've got Germany where Bayern have won 8 in a row. So if you're only spending your revenue and you're already that far ahead, then I can't see how other clubs can get there. I mean, you got Leicester a few years ago, but if you look at that Leicester team, virtually straight away, Kante, Drinkwater were sold.
Yep.
Mahrez went a year later, and now another successful Leicester team. You've got rumours of Chilwell, Maddison, and Ndidi possibly going on. So how can a club build under this system but have sustained success for several years?
Yeah, it's true. It's very, very difficult. I mean, Leicester came in like Liverpool. Liverpool thought they were the greatest thing in the world this season, but they've ended up not getting any of the records that they set themselves. They didn't get back-to-back Champions League. They got knocked out of the FA Cup. They didn't get the points record. They didn't get the 100% home. They didn't get the 100% home record. So they have fallen by the wayside. And what I'd like to look at is a season where everybody's priorities lay elsewhere. Chelsea and Man United were on a definite rebuild. Arsenal are going to have to be rebuilding for a few more years. Tottenham are on a decline. Manchester City's priorities lay elsewhere, especially after they had so many injuries at the start of the season, and they could do with rebuilding their own backline as well. And I'm not sure if Foden is going to fill the shoes of Silva. But at the end of the day, they swooped in and won it when everything was perfect for them to come in and do it. I don't think that that's going to be the case next season. I think that the blueprint to play against them has been revealed, and it's been exposed by Atletico Madrid, and we've seen teams sitting back and not letting Liverpool press them and clear the ball and allowing Liverpool to try and break them down with 7 or 8 men at the back. Liverpool don't seem capable of doing it, and Manchester City seems to have so many other ways of beating you. I think if they did have only a 1-year ban, that next season I would have had a massive bet on Manchester City winning the league, only playing 40 to 45 games. I'm not so sure now, but I feel very, very sure that Liverpool won't win it. What do you think for next season before we move on to the FA Cup? Actually, tell me what you think of next season and tell me what your Champions League chances are, and then we'll move on to the FA Cup.
Well, the Champions League for the remainder of this season? Yeah,
where you have to finish off against Madrid.
Well, I'll start with the Champions League first. It was a bit of a nightmare draw last week, I think, our half of the draw. I mean, looking at the favourites, if we were to progress, you're looking at Juventus, then, Juventus after the Madrid game, and then probably Barcelona or Bayern in our half of the draw. So it's a bit of a nightmare that side. But I think the positive for us is that our league finishes pretty close. I think there's only about 2 weeks spare, so whether match fitness is going to count, I think you've got Germany Germany's been finished for about a month before it restarts.
That's right,
PSG wouldn't have played at all.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like PSG having the massive gap. And I thought Bayern are in a better position in PSG where they have 3 to 4 weeks off. But I think it's really ideal. I mean, Juve are the other way, whereas Juve almost play to the week where it starts, especially when they have that game in the last 16 to negotiate as well. I think it does set up very nicely for the Premier League teams, especially Man City. Chelsea aren't going to get through, so it's just set up really for Man City. I think they have the perfect break. I think that 2 weeks is quite nice, and the same goes though for Real Madrid as well. And I don't think that tie is over in itself as well, because when you look at a Real Madrid team that just won 10 games in a row to win La Liga, I don't think that game is done. I mean, do you think it's done? Like you pretty much you outplayed them for large periods at their ground, so maybe you think it's done.
Yeah, no, not at all. If you look at this Zidane team, what's just won it, it's quite different to the team he had a year or so ago in the way to play. It's a lot more built from the back.
Yeah.
he's got a brilliant defence there. But yeah, as for City, the big thing with the Champions League for us, from the fans' perspective at the minute, is if Aguero will make it. But there's the other side of that coin where Jesus doesn't score like Aguero, but the team seems to play better as a whole because of his link-up play and bringing us into it.
Yep.
But yeah, the Champions League for us, I'm quietly confident, but at the same time, I think our Achilles heel in that could be lack of an established partner for Laporte. I mean, the fact Eric Garcia's come in at the minute as an 18-year-old and established himself is quite damning to Stones and Otamendi.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see them losing this tie. I can see it being more difficult. I can see the game being poised at 1-1 at one point and it being a case of, one goal takes us to extra time, but I don't think they'll lose it. I am worried about the next round if it is Juve. I'm not worried because I don't support City, but I would be worried about teams like Juve and Atletico Madrid. I like City in a shootout. I like City to outgun Barcelona. I think City are now better than Barcelona. I think Barcelona have been sitting on their hands for years and years and years, and everything that Messi spoke about yesterday, that was coming. As far as I was concerned, that was coming. This team have been asking for it. They didn't build when they were on top, and now I could see Real Madrid almost winning the league for the next 3 to 5 years, and maybe Atletico rising as a challenger, because they need to replace a whole bunch of players, and Messi isn't going to be at his peak anymore. And you could see how frustrated he was, because he knows that this may have been the last chance to win another La Liga with this team, and unless Ansu Fati just becomes the next Messi within the space of one season, they're not going to challenge for the league next season, and I don't think they're going to challenge for this Champions League. I think they could be eliminated by Bayern, and if they do manage to get past that, and City are there, City are going to take them to pieces.
I think if Barcelona get past Napoli, barring any fitness issues, Bayern could absolutely destroy them.
Right. And
but Bayern have impressed. I forget the name of the new coach. I think it's Flick, but Bayern have emerged as quite a really good side again after he's come on. Since I think he took over in November. But yeah, I think Bayern would take Barcelona to the cleaners at the minute. They've pretty poor side. And going back to FF, well, not necessarily FFP, but just spending large amounts. If you look at Barcelona, I think it's 3 years in a row with Dembele, Coutinho and Griezmann. They've spent around 360 million and still failed to fill that left-hand side. What Neymar left?
They failed to do that, and they've not invested at all in their back line. I mean, Semedo isn't a Barcelona right back, and he's been there the entire time, and Piqué's legs seem to have gone, and he doesn't seem to be the same player yet. They're nowhere near fulfilling that centre back position. So I think they're a team.
His knees have completely gone.
Yeah, I honestly feel that they're going to struggle, and I definitely don't have them down as winning Champions League. But moving back to my point, I think the way Juve play and the way Atletico play, and when you have teams that are willing to sit in and break, I think that could present a problem for Manchester City. So I wouldn't want to play either of those two teams, and I feel the same way on the other side of the draw. If PSG, if they get past Atalanta, because Atalanta are really hot at the moment, if they get past Atalanta, I don't think PSG can get past Atletico Madrid. So I think it's going to be interesting on the other side. I think it's legit going to be Atletico against one of the big attacking teams out of Bayern Munich or Manchester City, but I just think Juve is going to be a difficult game for Man City. Much more difficult than the odds makers are making it, because after that draw came out, Manchester City and Bayern have been installed as the favourites, even though they have to meet each other, and they're almost looking at it as the winner of that semi-final is going to go on and win the tournament. It's weird the way the bookies think. They've had Man City as favourites throughout the entire thing, but I think that when you look at the way Man City have exited this competition over the last few years, I don't agree with that.
Yeah, the only for me, our biggest game tactically would be Atletico Madrid. I think Simeone versus Guardiola would be quite the contrast.
Yeah,
if you look at our performances or defeats in the last 18 months, 2 years, they have been against teams who have sat sat in the box, played 2 or 3 really fast-paced players on the break, which Atletico would look to do. So I think that could be the biggest struggle out there. The only thing about Juventus, and to watch a lot more La Liga than I do Serie A, but having seen a couple of the results in the last couple of weeks, is the amount Juventus have conceded lately.
They have, but I don't think that they're going to try and play that way against the Manchester City. I think they're going to know. I think if Juventus know they're going to be overpowered in attack, and they're liable to concede goals, I think that they're more than capable of setting in with 4-5 at the back, and that will make it more difficult for you. They have got the players there, but we have seen them engage in some shootouts in the last few weeks. I mean, we saw something unthinkable happen when they conceded a bunch of goals to Milan within the space of a few minutes. From 2-0 up, they lost 4-2. So, yeah, this isn't a normal Juve team. And as I said at the top, like, this is the team that are going to have the least break going into that Champions League title. It's not even a given that they'll get past Lyon, because they're 1-0 down in the first leg. And they need to overturn that as well. And an away goal for Lyon is going to be crucial if they can get it. I just feel that the French teams, coming off the back of just playing friendlies, aren't going to have a great shot. Moving on to
another thing on that. The only thing with Pep is that in the league, it's pretty much a given. It's a 4-3-3, striker, 2 wingers, and the false 8. But in Europe with Pep, there's been this question of does he overthink big games in Europe? And if you go back to that 2-1 away at Madrid, I think he started De Bruyne, Bernardo and Mahrez as his forward line, with De Bruyne as a false 9. So you never really know what Pep's going to put out in these type of games.
Yeah, it did seem like we only saw Man City when they were 1-0 down, because I actually bet the under 3.5 goals on that. That when they see those two teams, they price the line up so high. They priced it up to under 3. So under 3.5 was the line, and I took it because I thought that would be more of a tight game, because that's Zidane's Madrid, and for some reason Pep almost seems to be going there to try and hit them on the break, which is not City's style of play, but that's what they seem to do. This weekend, we'll move on to the FA Cup. You're still favourites for the competition, and I don't know whether this is simply down to Chelsea playing Man United in a toss-up, but you're 8-13 favourites. It's 4-1 on Chelsea and Man U, and Arsenal are 10-1. So the bookies are giving them no chance here. In the matchup, you're 1-3 to win it in 90 minutes. 17-4 the draw,
okay,
and 15-2 on Arsenal. And to qualify from this tie, where is it? You're 1-7 to qualify from the tie, and Arsenal are 4-1. Now, this is a team obviously you went out to before in the semi-final, but you've owned them since that point in the league. I mean, do you guys just see this draw and always think, oh, it's only Arsenal, like we always beat them?
Well, it's a cup semi-final, and it's a one-off game, so anything could happen. We've lost to Norwich this season, so I think that says it all in a one-off game. But as for the strength of the opponents, I think Arsenal are perceived as the weaker of the 4. But they have got players who can hang, as you look at the form of Saka or whatever it's called.
Well, they're coming off a win against Liverpool. I don't know how much you read into that, because Liverpool seem to give them that.
I watched the last 20 minutes or so of that the other night. It was a great result for Arsenal, but in terms of the play, I think Liverpool battered them. I looked at some of the stats the other night, and it's just one of them where you look back at them and think, how did Arsenal win this?
But do you not feel there's something in that? There's some improvement in that, in terms of if Arsenal did get battered in that way, in terms of possession, shots, everything, but didn't concede, is that Arsenal turning the corner in terms of being more resolute? Because the shots, they weren't clear-cut chances. It does look, I watched the game, it does look like a statistical nightmare, but they did retain Liverpool to having to shoot outside of the box and constantly putting crosses in that they managed to deal with. It wasn't overly uncomfortable. They did look a lot better at that point.
Okay, well, I'll answer that in 2 parts. I think Arsenal, Arteta has got them playing better, and I think they went to 3 at the back after Al gave it in the league at the restart.
Yeah.
So I think that suits them a lot better to give them the extra man.
Well, it's David Luiz. David Luiz not in a partnership.
I also think until they get better quality individuals, they can only do so much with Arteta. Me other question. Oh, you've lost me on that bit. Go ahead. What was you going to say?
I was just saying. Well, I cut you off just to say that was David Luiz playing in a centre back partnership, and I said if you put him in a 3, that makes it a lot easier. But I answered. My original question was, do you think they deserve any credit for managing to keep Liverpool out in the second half, despite being dominated on the stats? And I did say that a lot of the stuff did look like Liverpool having attempts from outside goal, and they didn't create anything clear cut where the goalkeeper needed to be world class at any point.
I think Arsenal did really well. I didn't see the game. I'm just going by the stats from that I've seen and some of the highlights. But I think there was a save near the end that Martinez did really well on.
Right.
From I think it was the last minute. But that was really good. But going back to if you're talking about shots and chances in games, I think that's been part of City's problem. If you saw the Southampton game the other week, I think it was 22 shots or 22 attempts on goal.
Do you want a stat for that one? They had more shots. They created more chances than Leicester did when they beat Southampton 9-0.
Yeah, so I think that's been part of the problem throughout the season. As Pep says, with City, this problem's been both boxes. People talk about the defence, but I think we've created more chances than Liverpool, or certainly up there, if not more. But it's just been a poor shot conversion, really, I think.
How do you think it goes? 1 to 3 is very short.
This is the City fan in me, but I do think we'll win by a couple of goals.
Right. I agree. I just don't. When we're on this sports, on obviously a gambling podcast, we're trying to find the value. And as someone that covers football, if you're asking me for a football opinion, I say, yeah, Man City beat Arsenal all day, especially when you're looking at them wanting revenge for a semi-final a while back. But when you're looking at the odds of 1 to 3, where I have to put £300 down to win 100, and that only covers 90 minutes because I have to put down 700 to win 100 over the course of 120 minutes, I don't feel like there's any value in that at all. And I'm looking around for the value in this game as somebody that thinks City's going to win, and I can't really find any.
I agree with you totally. It is a struggle. I was looking through the odds before we talked, and I was really struggling to find anything that stood out.
Did you find anything that was? I asked you if you would have a look.
Yeah, I found something. So with Sky Bet, it was Kevin De Bruyne 7-1 to score from outside the penalty area.
Right.
So as well as being a free kick specialist, he has got quite a good 20-30 yard shot on him. And we've seen that over the past year or two. I think in the league game in December, Kevin De Bruyne, he scored quite a long range goal in that one. He also hit the post from about 30 yards out, so I think that's quite a good one to go for.
I found Man City to win and adding over 2.5 goals to it, which comes to 4 to 6. It's a much more reasonable bet. I don't see under 3 goals in this game. I think that Arsenal could easily contribute to it. I know they didn't last time they played them, but I wouldn't discount City being able to score 3. I don't like Jesus up front. I wouldn't be surprised if he plays Sterling in the false 9, because a lot of players were rested against Bournemouth on Tuesday, and I wonder if Sterling ends up playing up front, especially coming off the hat-trick.
Yeah, I think Jesus is the only question mark. So I think he did start the other night. I'm not sure what the odds are, but I do fancy Riyad Mahrez to score tomorrow.
I'll have a look for you. Yeah, Mahrez has been really good. I think that's one of the reasons why I don't think there's been a big hoo-ha about Sane going. Sane is going to be a big loss, and I think over time that's going to look like an even bigger loss as Sane becomes more established, and I think he's going to become a really important player for Germany. But yeah, I think that's going to be a big loss. But I also think that Mahrez, we've not seen the best of Mahrez at Man City because he's been in and out. And he needs a consistent run of games.
I think he's had a lot better season this year than last. If you look at the contrasting styles at Leicester, it was quite an attacking team, especially that one he wasn't under Ranieri, where he just received the ball and be free to break. Whereas playing in a possession-based style, it took quite a while for him to adjust to that. But I do think since the start of this season, we have seen a much improved player.
I found that Mahrez to score any time tomorrow is at 2-1, and Jesus is the favourite, and you can get Sterling at 11-8. I think his value on Mahrez though at 2-1.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I'd also wonder what, for more of a long range bet, if you're looking at a bit more value in the market, Ilkay Gundogan, because I've got a feeling he's going to go with a Rodri Gundogan midfield. Right. I'll include De Bruyne in that, but I'm also tempted to say I'll use De Bruyne as a false nine.
Yeah, I mean, I looking at that was the anytime goal scorer. That wasn't the first goal scorer.
Yeah.
Another player that's on there for the anytime goal scorer and is at longer odds than Mahrez is De Bruyne. And over the course of a 90-minute period, with some of the defenders they've got there, Mustafi and David Luiz, namely, the concession of a penalty is a definite option. And when you have De Bruyne as the free kick taker and the penalty taker priced up here at 5-2 to score any time in that game, I also like the look of that one as well. But also your bet that you gave out of De Bruyne to score from outside the box, because that could easily happen during the game as well.
Yeah, especially at 7-1. Like I say, he's our free kick taker, and he's also got a hell of a long range shot on him.
All right, so you're going for City, but you're definitely looking for stuff outside the 1-3. I mean, I am too. I don't think I'd be adding that to parlays. What about last thing, winning the overall tournament? Because this looks like your best opportunity of winning 2 trophies this season, because it's obviously a better opportunity than the Champions League. Who do you think you'll get in the final, and do you fear any of the other 2 teams in the final? I mean, they've both beaten you this season.
So I'll start with Chelsea the other week. I think with Boss them, it was just 2 brain dead mistakes really. If you look at the Mendy Gundogan mess up between them, and then it was Fernandinho who handballed it on the near the goal line.
Right.
But as for United, league games, I think we deserve to lose them. Not only did they play better than us, but we played terrible those days. And going back to the League Cup semi, the Old Trafford game, I think that could have been any score we wanted at half time.
Yeah.
And then the second leg, I think De Gea played really well that game, if I remember.
Yeah, I didn't see that game, because once you'd won 3, I had tickets for West Ham Liverpool, which I went to my son with, and I had written that off at 3-1. And we've done that a few times where we came back obviously against Paris Saint-Germain away from home, and that had signs of us doing it again. I believe City even missed a penalty. In that one. But
as for the other semi, the only thing, City did virtually play anyone we wanted in the remaining 2 league games, so it's full strength this weekend. But I'm not sure what United and Chelsea are going to do lineup-wise, with both still trying to get in the top 4.
Well, Ollie doesn't seem to be resting.
He doesn't seem to be resting
anyone. He doesn't seem to be resting anyone for any game. But I don't want to just complain about this as a United fan, but it is a little bit unfair that Chelsea played on Tuesday and we're playing on Thursday, and then we have to play on Sunday again. So I have a feeling that we're going to see some players not playing this game. I can see Greenwood getting a rest. I can see De Gea getting a rest. So I don't feel that we're going to be the full-strength team. But attacking-wise, that Chelsea defence looks like it's there for the taking. But when you look at a Chelsea team that have had 2 days more rest, that does concern me. As for the final, I think we were a great bet at the quarter-final stage where we were 7-1 to win this competition, and I did jump on that, 7-1 or 8-1. But I just think Manchester City versus Man United is going to be dependent on what team turns up, because we've caught you on a couple of off days and we'll win. I think there's going to be goals in it, guaranteed. I don't think there's anything that City can do to stop that front 3. But at the same time, I'm not 100% confident about... There's a lot of statistics going around saying that Man United have kept this many clean sheets and that many clean sheets. But you saw us come apart against Southampton and Bournemouth. So if City click into gear, and especially if Aguero's back for that final, that could be an issue. But if he's not...
I personally think that the way Pep would at least try to win that final, I think he'd go back to what he did in the Carling Cup, or the Carabao Cup as it is now, semis, and go with the false 9 and flood the midfield. Because if you look at the first league game, United got a lot of success with hitting City on the break, and Pep kind of countered that by just packing the midfield out. So I don't think we'd play with a striker if that was the game at the final.
I think you're looking at a very different midfield now, though, with Fernandes, Pogba and Matic in there. It seems like a stable midfield, something that we didn't have for a long time when we swapped in from looking back at Schweinsteiger playing in there to Fred coming in to McTominay getting a run in the side. It was the midfield has been weak for a while, and now it seems like the strongest it's been. I mean, Fernandes has been a big difference maker, but I'd love to
forget Fellaini, Billy.
No, of course, Moyes' big sign, and yeah, I can't wait to see a Fernandes v De Bruyne final if we get there, and obviously a Manchester final as well. If hopefully some people can get into the stadium, because it's already going to be no fans this weekend, and hopefully by the time that game comes around, they're going to have that half capacity or whatever they're talking about having for the final, because otherwise it will feel a little bit empty. All right, where can we find you if people want to follow you or see what you have to say? Because I know you tweet out about football time to time.
Yeah. If you want to follow me, you're welcome to. It's Wesfellum83 on Twitter. So yeah, hit me up on there if you want to see my opinions on City, football in general, or anything else.
We'll try and get you back on nearer the Champions League time, because we're going to be doing some Champions League stuff as well. So we'll get you back on for that.
Okay, mate. Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Wes. Cheers.
Cheers, mate.
Okay, so we just heard from Wesley, the Manchester City fan, and we've just covered the Manchester City versus Arsenal semi-final. We're now going to move on to the Manchester United versus Chelsea semi-final. Man United are the favourites here at 7-5. It's 12-5 the draw, and it's 2-1 on Chelsea. We already did the odds on the guys to win the tournament with Man United and Chelsea, both joint second favourites at 4-1. Man United are the 8-11 favourites to qualify for the FA Cup final, and Chelsea are available at evens. On the line, I have one of my oldest friends and fellow Manchester United supporter, Nick Nall.
Hey mate, how's it going?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm much happier than I was. Well, actually, I've been happy ever since the Burnley result, because that was the point where I was completely done. And all of a sudden, we've clicked into gear. And everybody's saying it's just Bruno, which is a point. But I don't think it is just Bruno. It seems like everything has clicked into gear. Not that I'd like him to get an injury and test that fact, but I'm happy with everything that we're doing. I feel like we're genuinely one or two players away from challenging next season.
Honestly, we are so close to challenging next year. It reminds me a bit of when Liverpool, I'm painful saying this, but Liverpool a few years ago, where they had their front three and they were amazing going forward and terrible at the back, and then they go and spend 75 million on the centre back from
Van Dijk.
From Southampton. Yeah, exactly, Van Dijk. That is just completely made their defence tighten up. That is my only worry about Sunday. I think Man U will score. I can see us winning, but I can see us conceding as well. So I've got a good double, I think, for this weekend on both games actually. But I think it's quite a good return. But I think all teams, Arsenal, City, United and Chelsea, all will score. But I'm going close for a double for City to match odds and both teams to score for that one, and United match odds, both teams to score, but as a double.
So Man United, Chelsea, both teams to score in that one is 4-6, and if you double it with the other game, it comes up to 3-1, right?
I think it's a bit more than that. Yeah, I think so. It's I've got here it's for City to City to win and both teams to score, and United to win and both teams to score. I've got 11.8 here. So,
okay. You've taken the actual winners of the games as well.
Yeah.
But how confident are you though about Man U winning? Because I was just talking really about the resurrection in general, but coming into this FA Cup game, I'm a little bit worried. I think the Premier League is the priority. So I think we're going to see a stronger team against West Ham than we will against Chelsea. And then we're going to see us go all out, I think, for the Europa League as well, so we can secure a trophy. This, I feel like, may get left by the wayside, especially with the FA really screwing us with 3 days rest and giving Chelsea 5 days rest. And that does concern me. But at the same time, if we go with our full strength team, that defence is Swiss cheese. Like, we could rip that defence to pieces. They don't look strong at all. They look like they need an entire back four, whereas we look like we need one or two players.
Yeah, exactly. No, I've got a feeling I totally agree with you. He is going. We haven't had hardly any time to prepare. I think a little key was he did bench Matic, didn't he, in the last game, and that is just one of the things what you said about Bruno, being a massive catalyst in turning United's ship around. Obviously, he has stepped up big time. He is undroppable now. So I think he will definitely start against Chelsea. And I think from that aspect, I can see us winning, but I can see us conceding as well. And that's why I think the bet that I'm considering it is a good one. I think the odds are in our favour actually.
But in terms of Sunday and us being favourites, I think in all likelihood that they're more likely to come out with a lot of the same players that played in the Norwich game. In fact, they rested some because their performance against Sheffield United was so bad. Are you worried about taking us as a favourite and then looking at the team on Sunday? I'm going to be coming to your house actually, so we'll be sitting there together. Seeing on Sunday that Romero's in goal and he's rested maybe Wan-Bissaka, and there's not both Pogba and Fernandes in the team, and James comes in for Greenwood, who I think he thinks is tired, and Igalo's playing up front. Do you have any concerns if we make 4 or 5 changes, as long as Bruno and Maguire and Martial are playing, which has essentially now become the spine of the side? I never thought that Martial would grow into a player that's so important, but I really feel more confident if I see him there. I think they're the 3 key players where I feel like we have a chance of beating anybody as long as they're all there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I feel just as safe as Romero coming in. He's in absolute class.
Yeah, that's why I didn't mention
no
David De Gea.
at all.
That's why I didn't mention.
He'd be brilliant.
Yeah, so I wasn't too worried about De Gea. I'm worried the opposite way, De Gea. I'm worried if now we can actually get a better goalkeeper and challenge for this title. I wouldn't be against us doing a deal where we get Oblak and send De Gea back to Atletico. I've been concerned about the goals he's letting this season, but he's not one of the key players I'm looking to replace. I'm looking, it's not even to replace, I'm looking for someone to rotate in and out of Lindelof and Maguire, so we do have another world-class centre-back. Shaw still seems to get injured, and we do need somebody to come in and rotate if Greenwood is going to take these rests, which I think is the one player we've got lined up at Sancho, but I've not seen us in any way linked to any kind of centre-back. And if we had those players coming in, I wouldn't be worried about this game. But at the moment, when we're looking at Daniel James coming in and Igalo coming in and Eric Bailly possibly coming in, it does concern me a bit. But at the same time, we've got an unbelievable record against Chelsea as of late.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, we are. Well, yeah, it's quite surreal. Like you said, if both teams are equal, it's going to be a close one. I think it will. I do think we'll nick it though, and I think I'm not too worried. I don't think he's going to change the team. I get what you're saying, that he should consider things as well, but I can't see him doing it. I think he will play a full strength team. The left back is the only issue because I don't know how Shaw's getting on. Williams is obviously I don't know if his head injury is still even able to play or not. So I don't know if we go with Forza again. I don't know if Dalot's on the bench as well. I don't know.
Yeah, well, we picked up a clean sheet. We picked up a clean sheet at the weekend. So yesterday. So I mean, we could be okay going with Forza again. But I think Chelsea are going to come at us a lot more. I don't like the matchup with Willian and Forza because I think he could cause him all kinds of problems. And I agree with you. I do think we're going to need to win this game. We're going to need to score twice. Because I think your both teams to score bet is a shoo-in. I'm more worried about it not cashing in the other game, because last time City played Arsenal, they won very easily. And when I had my City guest on the phone, he was being cautious, but both of us kind of come to the conclusion that City are very, very short at 1-3, but there's no way they're not going to be in this FA Cup final. And it's just a case of if it's going to be against Man U or Chelsea. But the Manchester City guest didn't want to play Man United. He seemed to feel like Chelsea beat Manchester City was a fluke, but Man United proper beat Manchester City twice in the league this season. So he's concerned about us, which is a good sign, because it's been a long time since anybody's been worried about us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I agree. I think City will get to the final. I can just see it happening. I think they will. And yeah, potentially they could score quite a few goals as well. But I do think they will concede, and that is why I'm probably going to stick with it as well. And even if Arsenal score first, I think City will get really rolled up and they'll come back as well. I just can't see Arsenal winning it. because I do think if Arsenal were to win, they need to get 2 or even 3, and I just can't see them getting that many goals really. But I do think they will score, just like I think Chelsea will score. I think Pulisic is a class player. Thank God Wan-Bissaka is not injured as well, because he'll hopefully be able to manage him on the left. But it will be interesting to see what happens as well. It's going to be 2 brilliant semi-finals actually.
While I've got you on there, we'll talk about the top 4 race will continue on over the weekend, and we are looking for Tottenham to do us a favour so that we don't need to win our last 2 games. If Tottenham end up losing to Leicester, we even need to demoralise West Ham by winning by 4 or 5, which is a thing that people have not considered, because at the moment everybody's looking at us needing to go and beat Leicester or Tottenham needing to do us a favour. If we beat West Ham by 4 or 5, which is a big ask, we do have the goal difference advantage, but that's unlikely to happen. So do you think we're going to get a favour off Spurs this weekend, or are we going to get a favour off Liverpool even? Because there's a scenario, and of all people, Robbie Savage pointed it out, that if Liverpool beat Chelsea and Manchester United beat West Ham and Leicester beat Tottenham, then Man United and Leicester can deliberately play out a draw, and Chelsea will be eliminated from the Champions League. So Chelsea actually cannot afford to lose to Liverpool. But me and you spoke before, I don't think Chelsea are going to lose to Liverpool.
No, I can't see it. I think Chelsea will beat Liverpool.
They'll beat Liverpool?
I think Chelsea will beat Liverpool. This season's been so crazy. Liverpool have completely dropped off. Yeah, I know they've won a couple of games, recently, but they've completely dropped off from what they were doing. I think as soon as they've got the title, they've kind of, even Klopp was saying, no, we're not taking it easy. We're not being silly. We're concentrating. They got absolutely spanked by City.
Mate, you've just given the odds of 5-2. That's on that happening. You've just given a 5-2 pick out on Chelsea to win that game in midweek.
I think Chelsea will win it. Yeah, they've got everything to play for. Liverpool haven't got anything to play for, and they've got a champ. But I just think that's it. I think Chelsea will come out. I think they'll surprise Liverpool. I wouldn't be surprised if Chelsea won that, and that's why I'm not resting any hopes on Liverpool doing us a favour.
No, and I think if Tottenham get any kind of result here against Leicester, then I don't mind Liverpool losing that game. The reason being is because every single record has gone for them. They were going to be the first team to... They were going to break the points record. They were looking for back-to-back Champions League. They were looking for a 100% home record. All of that stuff is gone. The only one thing that they've got left is they can be the first team to be unbeaten at Anfield or unbeaten at home for back-to-back seasons. And Chelsea have the opportunity of taking away the one little small record that they have. So I wouldn't mind, because obviously I completely dislike Liverpool and I don't want them to achieve anything of note, and then for them to just be ordinary Premier League champions, just Premier League champions, one-time Premier League champions, like a lot of other teams, like Blackburn are. So that's what I want to happen. But I need to know what happens in tomorrow's game first, or the Sunday game between Tottenham and Leicester, before I root for Chelsea to win that game.
Yeah, no, I agree. Tomorrow's Sunday's game, isn't it? Tottenham Leicester as well. I've got that as a draw. I think Tottenham are fighting, and they'll do everything they can to get into the Europa League next year. And they're home as well, so I don't think there will be a pushover. But I can't see them. I just can't see them beating Leicester. I think Leicester will hit them on the counter attack. I do know that obviously Maddison's not playing and Chilwell's not playing, right, which is a massive dent for Leicester. So I don't know. It'll be close, but I've got a feeling that might be a draw actually.
Yeah, I think that
Spurs win though. Love a Spurs win.
That will do for us. Last thing, when the summer gets, when the season ends and we go to August, we're the clear Europa League favourites by a mile. We're 2-1 favourites. Inter Milan 5-1, Leverkusen 6-1, Wolves and Sevilla 8-1. Wolves and Sevilla look like one of the teams will play in the semi-finals. In the quarters, we've basically been handed a bye against Istanbul or Copenhagen. I don't expect us to have any issues there. Do you think that it'll be a massive disappointment if we don't win this Europa League, given that we're the massive favourites? And who's the danger? Is it Inter?
Well, do you know what? Just backtracking on what you said as well. If we get top 4, our players will go into the Europa completely calm, completely. There won't be any pressure on them because, like you said, we are we are pretty much favourites to win. But if we don't get top four, and then we go into that, we're going to be like, we have to win that competition. And then there'll be pressure. There'll be all the media people speaking in their ears as well, And I think there will be a bit of, because we're expected to walk over teams and then maybe find, the final a bit of a challenge against Inter or Roma, whoever's going to be there. Do you know what? I as long as we can get top four, I'm pretty confident we'll win that. My concern is if we don't get top four and the pressure's on us, I worry what's going to happen as well. But we should win it. We should be winning this competition. And if we get to the final of the FA Cup, I think we'll play out a slugfest with City. I think it'll be a brilliant game, but I think it might only be 1-0, to be fair. But we've got everything to play for. It's a really, really good, exciting next 5 weeks or so. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I don't want to lose a Europa League final to our rejects, and I don't want to lose an FA Cup final to... I don't want to lose to anybody. I don't want to lose this FA Cup final to... I don't want to go out to Chelsea, because I feel like we're in a position to have a really, really good season, and an FA Cup final will tie that up. And I will be...
We owe them one anyway. We went to the last FA Cup final, and it was Man U Chelsea, and Phil Jones took down Hazard. That was painful. So if anything, we owe them one anyway. So
yeah, and since then, as we've said, we've been dominating against Chelsea. So hopefully that continues on this weekend. So
I think they'll be worried about us. Chelsea will be going, and they'll know. Was it 3-0 now? Is it 3-0 this year so far? In 2 Premier League games and 1 Carling Cup game or whatever it is.
Yeah, plus we knocked them out of the FA Cup last year too. So
yeah, I listen. They've got a lot of reason to fear us, and as you said at the start of this call as well, we have turned a massive corner, and we look exciting going forward. There is a question mark on us going backwards, and that's why, again, sorry to come back to my bet, that's exactly why I'm pretty confident that I think Man U will go through, but we will concede, and I think City will go through as well, but they will concede as well.
Will we challenge for the league next year? 8-1 to win the title. Will we actually challenge? Are we going to start going?
I think we will challenge, mate.
Are we going to start going again? Are we going to start? We didn't go to Old Trafford this year. I took Austin to Man U Brighton, but we haven't been. Will we actually go back and see this attacking team next season?
Well, I was to think the announcement today, isn't it? There's potential that we can go back to live games in October.
Right.
That was what the government announced today. And there was a joke I saw someone on social media saying, yeah, but they'll be locked down by November or December. So I tell you what, if anything happens in October and the season starts again, I don't even know when the restart starts, but we need to try and go to at least 2 home games in that October, because if it does go Pete Tong and it cancels again behind closed doors, then at least we can say, look, we've gone there and we've done all I can to go to those games as well.
Yeah, and that'll be our best chance of catching COVID, because we don't want to miss out. And we really want to experience what it feels like too. So, no, I don't care. I'm very, very fed up of sitting in, and I definitely can't wait to go back to football again. So yeah, I'm 100% going to be going. It's annoying me to be...
Mate. We should be going to this game tomorrow.
Oh, absolutely. I was just on the tip of my tongue was the sentence of we should be going tomorrow. So, I mean, at least we're watching it together. I'll have Austin there as well. That's the 3 people that we would have been going with anyway. So.
Yeah, that's fine, mate. Yeah, no, it'll be awesome, mate. Like I said, to be fair, and I know it sounds like, we've got a lot of options at the moment, but I do still think if we can... I think West Ham are spanking Watford at the moment anyway. So
Watford just scored.
They may be safe by the time we play them, actually, West Ham. So if that's a safe, then potentially we could go and, maybe do them as well. Maybe, like you said, start with Igalo up top, rest Martial or whatever we need to do for that game. But yeah, top 4 is the priority. If we can do that, there'll be a lot of pressure off our players and stuff for the Europa and for the FA Cup final if we get there.
Well, it's exciting. It's much more fun than to be a United player, and it's a massive U-turn from how I felt last year. I got my Man U shirt and put my own name on the back because I just didn't want any of the players. And this year it's like, God, do I go for Fernandes or Rashford or Martial or even
or Mason Greenwood? He's unbelievable. So next year, I tell you what, we've got such a great team next year.
I tell you, Pogba's played really well, and I think. Now he's totally relaxed. I mean, a lot of the stuff at Juve was a case of him having somebody around him that would do most of the work.
Yeah, Pirlo was doing all the pretty work, wasn't
it? And now it's a case of, he's got Fernandes there who seems like the main man. And Fernandes talks about liking pressure and wanting to be the main man. And Pogba doesn't like the pressure and just wants to look like he's the main man. And it seems like they work well together. Everything seems to be clicking, but I don't want to be in this position. And also, like, I'm hesitant to like heap praise onto Greenwood as the next big thing, because we've in the previously in our club we've had Fraser, we've had we've had Makeda, and all these players that came in and scored goals and then they stopped. So I'm not going to.
Or Januzaj as well. He's just disappeared. I don't know where he's gone now.
Yeah, exactly. So all these players have come in. So I'm just going to calm down and make sure, and wait until we are in the top four and we are in the FA Cup final and we do make the Europa League final. But according to the bookies odds, which is what we deal in, we're very, very likely to do all of that stuff. So let's just wait and see. Do you want to plug any Instagram or Twitter or anything that you can be found on, or do you want to be left alone?
I'm on Twitter. So _Nick Newell _. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward. We've got about over 10,000 people now, actually. So, but we talk all the time about Man U and everything as well. So all the stats, all the games.
That's from your time as a season ticket holder, where you integrated with all these people, right?
Yeah. No, like I said, I used to be a season ticket holder, Stretford End. I bloody loved it, but work kind of got in the way. So, but hopefully, listen.
Work and those stupid kids that we had.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for coming. I haven't seen you for a long time, so it'd be good to see you on Sunday.
Mate, it was my wedding last time.
No, it wasn't. Was it?
Yeah. And
your wedding was a year ago, because the reminders.
A year ago.
The reminders came up.
20th, which is Monday. That was the wedding day. So yeah. So I'm expecting a card on Sunday.
That's great. I'll do something. I'll pay for the food we get. If that makes sense.
No, I'm joking. I might joke. But we'll just get some stuff. I'll order it in.
All right.
No worries, mate. Cool.
Thank you, mate. Cheers. I'll let you go.
All the best, mate. See you in a bit.
Cheers.
Bye.
So there we have it. That was Nick on to preview Manchester United versus Chelsea. I think both guys that we had on were pretty sure that their teams were going to go through to the FA Cup semi-final. I do fancy that myself. I'm a little bit worried, as I said, about Manchester United having such a short amount of rest, and if Manchester United are going to put out their full team. I like the bets there, though, in terms of me there going for the first game, both teams to score. Manchester City in over 2.5 goals, and Nick liking both teams to score in the Man U game and liking both teams to score in the other game, and going as far as to give a parlay over 11-1 with Man City in both teams to score and Man United in both teams to score. If that comes in, anybody backs it, we'll be definitely wanting Nick back on the show. Before I move on to those Premier League games, let me give a shout out to mybookie.ag, where you can bet everything that we're giving out here. They're still running their 50% deposit offer. Sign up now using the promo code SGP and net yourself some extra cash on top of your deposit. Put in $1,000 and they'll spot you $500 to play with. Use the promo code SGP when you make your first deposit. With MyBookie, you bet, you win, and most importantly, you get paid fast. Also, let me mention the guys are back at it with another awesome sim tournament, teaming up with All Things Comedy. They're running back the 2019 playoffs and giving away $10,000 in MyBookie credits. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/ATC for all the info. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/ATC. And we also take a time out here to talk about Ace Per Head. If you've ever thought about starting your own sportsbook but don't know how, Ace Per Head is here to help you start your own sportsbook. They'll provide you with an all-inclusive professional betting site with all lines updated to the second and wagers graded immediately. They have top-notch customer support going 24/7 and some of the sharpest lines in the industry. Plus, Ace offers a live betting and amazing mobile betting experience. Get started today as Ace is offering up to 6 weeks free over at aceperhead.com/SGP. That's aceperhead.com/SGP. And finally, we're also brought to you by Cushy Dreams, who are a new company with a full lineup of smokable CBD. They specialise in extraordinary CBD-rich hemp flower and pre-rolled CBD joints. Now shipping legally to all 50 states. Join a group of adults who are sick of vapes and gummies and want to smoke their CBD. Plus, with the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, you can get 15% off using our promo code SGP. That's Cushy, KUSHY, dreams.com, and our promo code SGP. Moving on to the show, EPL begins at 5:30 on Saturday, and Norwich take on Burnley in a game that's been rendered pretty much irrelevant, although Burnley have a faint chance of making the Europa League. They're 5-4 to win this game. It's 11-5 on Norwich and 21-10 on the draw. I can't see past anything here other than a low-scoring game that Burnley end up winning. And Burnley are available at 4-6 here as a pick. And I think that would be the absolute safest way to go. I don't see any reason why Burnley plays so hard against teams like Liverpool and all of a sudden lay an egg here in a totally winnable game. Norwich, I don't understand what happened with our lock last week in terms of Norwich putting men behind the ball, because if they put men behind the ball throughout the whole season, they might not be in the predicament that they're in. But they tried to play football in this league and they didn't have the personnel to do it. And at some point, Brighton worked out that they needed to survive in this league and put out some more solid performances that didn't involve being so gun-ho. But Norwich have remained that way. And then all of a sudden they get relegated and decide to put 8-9 men behind the ball. It makes no sense at all. As I said, both plays I like in here is Burnley to win and the under. Under 2.5 goals were scored in 8 of Burnley's last 9 games. Norwich have failed to score in 6 of their last 7 Premier League games. And Burnley have only scored exactly 1 in each of their last 3 away games. Under 2.5 goals were scored in 6 of Norwich's last 8 home fixtures. So I'm leaning towards the under here and Norwich to win this. One thing I want to make clear, as I've made clear throughout this week on social media, statistics don't necessarily mean that that's the way that you need to go. Sometimes that you go completely against what the stats say. For example, if there's 2 relegation teams going up against each other that have shipped a ton of goals, that game may end up being a 0-0 draw because nobody can afford to lose anymore and it's just tight. It's more of a must-lose situation than a situation where you want to allow the other team to win. We call that 6-pointer when 2 teams at the bottom play. So they're rare situations where you do have a lot of teams that are shipping goals, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you go towards the over. So just one example of how data can be overridden. Moving on to Sunday's game, and it is the South Coast Derby, and it means a lot more to Bournemouth than it does to Southampton. Bournemouth must win this game in order to have any chance of staying up, in my opinion. Of course, there is a scenario where Bournemouth can lose this game and win on the last day of the season and overtake Watford as long as Watford lose out. As I'm recording this show, they are losing 3-0 to West Ham, so that is looking like a likely scenario. But I think Bournemouth's would be more likely to win this game against Southampton than they are to win an away game against Everton in my eyes. But they are actually the favourites to do it, and I don't understand that. They're 13-10 to win the game, it's 5-2 to draw, and it's 2-1 on Southampton. Now, Southampton are going to be motivated to win this game. We saw their performance against Man United, which was a lock killer for us a few weeks ago, and we've seen how they've played post-lockdown with nothing to play for because they're in no relegation danger. Here, in this game, these 2 teams absolutely hate each other. Now, there might be a part of Southampton fans that want Bournemouth to stay up, and obviously they don't want to lose this game, but they might want Bournemouth to win on the final day because they want to continue attending the South Coast Derby. As much as there's a dislike between teams, fans do enjoy the derbies being played, and sometimes they don't necessarily like to see the other team go down. So whereas Southampton will want to win this game and turn up, maybe they don't want Bournemouth to go down entirely. But I think Southampton as an underdog here is an incredible bet. The last 2 meetings between Bournemouth and Southampton both saw over 2.5 goals and both teams scoring. So there's big value on that bet at 11-10. Bournemouth have actually scored 2 or more goals in 3 of their last 4 games. So there is hope for them because they have found the old Bournemouth, the free scoring Bournemouth, with the team that were the ever-present in the Premier League this season. And it's so surprising to see players of that calibre, the likes of Fraser and King and Callum Wilson, not being able to score goals. Southampton themselves have scored 2 or more goals in 3 of their last 4, and Southampton were unbeaten in their last 4 Premier League away fixtures. So this is a very, very interesting one for me. I don't think Bournemouth should be the favourite. Yes, their needs are great, but Southampton have played in games that have been irrelevant to them and have played well for a long time. They beat Man City, they drew against Man United, and this game is important. This is the South Coast Derby. This is the main derby that Southampton have. This is the main rivalry. So I don't see why they won't turn up for this. And as I said, Southampton supporters might not necessarily want to see the end of the South Coast Derby and see Bournemouth win, but they want the bragging rights, certainly. Although the bragging rights are limited at the moment because not many people are going outside, and they're certainly not going to football matches and bars and pubs, although that has picked up as of late in the last few weeks. I personally haven't been out yet, but I'm looking forward to going out this Saturday to watch the Man City Arsenal game at a bar. And then on Sunday, as we just heard, I'm going over to my friend Nick's house to watch the Man United-Chelsea game. Usually these kind of big games, we would always have tickets. So it is a little bit annoying. One of the bad things about Man United doing so well is to be in this predicament where we're not able to attend the games, because I'm one of these football fans that actually does go to games and watches everything, unlike these moronic cappers on Twitter. Some funny stuff about Las Vegas freeze again, but I'll get into that on the next show, because I think this show has run long enough already. And the final game, the game of the week, I guess, in the Premier League is Tottenham versus Leicester. Tottenham are the favourites here to win this game and do the other teams in the top four a big favour, being Man United and Chelsea. They are available at 5-4 to win this game. It's 12-5 to draw, and it's 2-1 on Leicester. I'll give you the odds on the draw no bet market, because that's a particular market I like, where Tottenham are available at 4-6 and it's 11-10 on Leicester. And one other way we may go with this is the over-under market. Over is 10-11 and the under is available at 4-5. Kind of like the over, although it's not going to be my play. I want to make that clear. I like it, but it's not going to be my play. Reason being is because Leicester have to come out. The pressure is all on Leicester to come out. Normally a draw at Tottenham would be a good result, but it's not going to be a good result in this situation, because Man United are expected to go out and beat West Ham in midweek, which will put them ahead of Leicester in the table. Now, we're not really sure what kind of Liverpool team is going to turn up against Chelsea, but I would think, obviously, Leicester are hoping for a big favourite in that game. And as I said, there is a scenario where it could work out that Leicester win against Tottenham and Man United win, and the two teams just need a draw against each other on the final day of the season, and Chelsea will be the ones left out in the cold. I don't see that happening, because like Nick, I think that Chelsea have a good chance of getting a result at the weekend, in midweek against Liverpool, and we'll look at that when we get to Matchday, the second part of Matchday 37, and we'll cover that more extensively. But as for this game, I'm not expecting Leicester to beat Jose Mourinho's Tottenham, who look revitalised at the moment, and will love the fact that Leicester will come onto them and they'll be able to exploit the gaps, much like they did against Arsenal last week. If this game does end up with Leicester losing, I think that might be it for them. They'll desperately need to beat Manchester United next week. Man United also will be coming off most likely a win against West Ham, so it'll be a must-win scenario for Leicester, where they could take over Manchester United on the goal difference, because Leicester's goal difference is 3 better than Man United's. So it will depend on what Man United get against West Ham. If Leicester lose, their goal difference will go to 2 above Man United. And if Man United win by 3 goals, then they'll be above Leicester on a goal difference as well. But of course, if Leicester win, it takes a goal off Man United and then puts 1 back onto Leicester. So it swings it the other way. If Man United beat West Ham by 4, then Leicester might have to beat Man U by 2. It gets so complicated. If Leicester draw this game, they go above Chelsea, but Chelsea go back above Leicester if they get a draw against Liverpool, and then all they'll need to do is win their final game against Wolves. But if Chelsea draw against Liverpool and draw against Wolves, it then opens up the door again for Leicester if Leicester end up getting 2 draws. If Liverpool end up beating Chelsea and Chelsea end up drawing to Wolves or failing to beat Wolves, then Leicester will just go through with 2 draws, because that will put them onto 64 points and Chelsea onto 64 points, and the teams will be level. It's all very, very complicated, which is obvious when you look at a league table where Chelsea have played 36 and have 63 points. Leicester have played 36 and have 62 points, and Man United have played 36 and have 62 points as well. The only team here with a really easy game in the run-in is Manchester United at home to West Ham, made all the more easy by West Ham currently being 3-0 up against Watford. It really is a complicated situation, and it's going to go down to the final day now. Leicester have made that happen by beating Sheffield United, and that was a result that surprised me, because after that Bournemouth loss, they looked like a team that were absolutely demoralised, but somehow came out of the traps and won that game. So let's close out with the lock on this show. And I like the lock to come from the FA Cup semi-finals, but it's not going to, because I do feel that Manchester City are too short. Going for Manchester City in over 2.5 goals seems a bit chalky. I like Nick's play as well, of both teams to score in the Chelsea-Man U game. We will have FA Cup plays, but I'm going to save those for my clients over at lockbetting.com. So sign up there. Had a very, very good... They turned it round in the MLS. Thank God. We're 4-1 run now in the MLS. It was looking a bit horrible there. The MLS did start horrible. I can't think of many campers that made money on it, but we've had a 4-1 run and we've had 3 winning days in a row. So got shit back on track after a pretty poor Sunday and Monday, and everything back to normal. Winning money as normal. Look like we're going to land 2 out of the 3 locks from last week. So the lock for this week is going to be Tottenham on the draw no bet market. I'm not going to give you an extra pick if that pushes, because last week I gave you 3 and none of them pushed. It was 2 winners and a loss, and I don't know how Chelsea lost that still to this day, but they did. So I'm just going to give you Tottenham on the draw no bet market. As I said, if you want my FA Cup picks, lockbetting.com is the place to go, or maybe there might be something for free if you follow my Twitter account at SGPEPL. But as I said, we're going to go with Tottenham here. I just think that this favours the way that Jose Mourinho's playing. We saw it against Arsenal in the London derby. Arsenal came out, put all the pressure on, and Tottenham ended up sucker punching them. It's not ideal when you have players like Harry Kane and Song in your side, where you want to be much more attacking and on the front foot, but that's never been Jose Mourinho's style. Maybe he deceived people initially, and Tottenham looked like they were going to be stylistically more attacking off the bat when they beat West Ham 3-2 in his first game in charge. But I think he has gone back to what he knows, and results are always going to be more important. And it has worked for Tottenham the last 2 games. And even coming out of lockdown, despite they've been a bit goal shy initially, they were defensively a lot more solid. And I said that would happen if Jose Mourinho had time to coach his defence and drill his ways into them. And that has happened. Tottenham have been a lot more defensively astute, which is why you're probably not going to see Jamie Vardy getting the ball over the top that he feeds off and catching Tottenham off guard. Tottenham are going to be quite solid here. It's going to be difficult for Leicester to break them down, and I think once they chase the game, it does represent an opportunity for Tottenham to win it. So that's why I'm taking that as a lock, not just because I'm a Manchester United fan that wants us to finish in the top 4. As I said, I'll be back on Monday with the second part of Matchday 37, covering the games on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, so make sure that you check that out. That's it from me. Enjoy the FA Cup semi-finals this weekend. Good luck with all of your bets as always, and thanks for listening, guys.